Hello and welcome everyone. We are just waiting for all the students to join in for what I am sure will be an extremely insightful session with Poonam Dalal Dahiya ma'am. Right? We'll just wait for all of you to join in. Till then, to just let you know, uh, Poonam Dalal Dahiya ma'am has been one of the very successful candidates who's cracked the exam. She is currently a civil servant, and very importantly, she's also using her experience and knowledge to bring some very insightful books for the aspirants preparing for the exam today. Ma'am is an alumnus of University of Delhi and is also a certified teacher who's possessed a lot of experience and continues to enrich her experience, which also ensures successful strategy making for other students preparing for the exam. What is more, that she's appeared in a number of competitive exams and attained success in all of them, be it the SBIPO, the SSC exam, the State Civil Services, or the UPSC. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am, and we are very grateful to have you with us. I am sure the session is going to be extremely fruitful for all the students who are preparing for their UPSC journey. Ma'am, the UPSC journey is obviously a very arduous one. एक बहुत ही lengthy journey होती है, एक बहुत ही time taking journey होती है. And so your comments, your insights into how to make an effective strategy जो कि आगे चल के इनको एग्जाम में सक्सेस दिलवा सकती है एस्पिरेंट्स को would be something that I'm sure all of us would gain from.
Thank you so much, Prerna, for the kind introduction. I think I can start with the strategy straight away, or
yeah. Absolutely, ma'am.
Right. So, hello to all the students who are out there listening to me. First of all, I would say that preparing for UPSC itself is a big decision which you all guys have taken in your life, and trust me, it's going to be a good decision for all of you, because even if you, let's say, God forbid, if nothing happens, then too also you'll at the end of the journey you'll come out as a very, very informed and knowledgeable person. But having said that, I wish and hope that anyone who's listening to this podcast or the YouTube video, then I hope that you all actually come out with flying colors. Now, see, they are basically any exam which you appear, there are certain things which you need to keep in mind. UPSC, I always say, is more about smart work rather than just hard work. Hard work is important, of course, but then if you are just working hard and not doing accordingly, which you should do, the smartly, you need to choose your resources very well. So if you're not doing that, then it's going to be a problem. So before starting the UPSC journey, I hope most of you must have gone through your NCERTs, must have gone through the UPSC syllabus. So my first tip to anybody, I always say there are 5-6 tips which every aspirant should know. And I think one is that you should know your enemy. Why I say enemy? That you should know your opponent. UPSC is your opponent over here. So you need to understand what exactly is the exam. You need to understand, you need to be very familiar with the process, that it is a 3-step process: prelims, mains, and interview. And you also need to understand that the preparation for all these processes doesn't happen in just one go. Like it doesn't happen in silos. It is always a very holistic and very comprehensive process. So you cannot say that I'll prepare for interview just after my mains. No, you cannot. You have to start preparing for your interview along with the time you start your preparation for prelims, because interview is a very important stage, and when you're in DAF, you write your hobbies. You cannot develop your hobbies overnight. So you have to work on your hobbies along with your process. So that's very important thing which I feel that you should know. You should know the syllabus. What exactly is the syllabus? You should be very familiar with the last 10 years exam. So if anybody out over there has not attempted any paper till now, mock paper, when I say, I mean UPSC previous year papers. So please go back to after the classes, please check out 1 or 2 papers, sit down, attempt those papers. I know you would be saying that we are not prepared, we don't know anything, but at the same time you need to you need to also understand and gauge where exactly are you standing. when you're starting a preparation, you should be very much aware. You need to do a assessment of yourself very clearly, that where exactly are you standing, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, right? So in order to understand that, I suggest that please go through the last year exam paper. That will make you comfortable with the pattern, and also it will make you realize what kind of questions are being asked. So later on, when you're going to do any topic, you'll be able to understand that, let's say for example, if there's a Indus Valley civilization topic, so you'll be able to understand that what kind of questions are coming in Indus Valley civilization, right? So you'll be able to understand what I need to focus on when I'm reading that topic. Similarly, if there's any polity question which you have attempted, so you'll be able to appreciate and understand what kind of knowledge and what kind of skill I require to attempt these kind of questions. And if I'm doing a topic, what kind of questions are being asked? So in order to understand that, you have to go through the last 10-year papers. So I always suggest that try to attempt at least 2-3 question papers, so that you understand, because one question paper you cannot actually assess or gauge that where exactly are you standing. But after one or two 2-3 papers if you attempt, then you'll be able to have a fairly idea. Average score can be taken out, and you can understand where exactly are you standing, which subject is your core subject, which subject you are good at, which subject you are not good at, and then accordingly you can start your journey with the UPSC, right? Second thing, after understanding the syllabus, the exam pattern, the last year question papers, please, I hope everybody, each one of you have gone through the NCERTs. So please keep your basics right? So the basics are very much well detailed covered in the old NCERTs, right? So please go through them before starting your journey, so that if any topic you're now studying in detail, at least you know the basics of it. For example, if you're reading constitution, if you're reading articles, so at least the basics articles have been covered in NCERT. Article 14 to 18 is equality, article 17 is untouchability. But when you're going through the polity thing later on, then you'll be able to understand it in a much more depth. But for that, you need to at least have a basic rough idea what are fundamental rights, what are directive principles of state policy. Similarly, in modern India, I would say. So any subject you take up, be geography, polity, history. So you need to actually go to the NCERTs first. You should. It is a very fruitful and very insightful exercise which you should not forego, and you should get it. So my first tip to you would be, please familiarize yourself with the pattern. And secondly, please understand the pattern very comprehensively, and then it would be like, please have your basics right. Now, going ahead, how to start preparing now? Many people just always ask me that, ma'am, how should we start? Should we just focus on prelims? Should we just focus on when to focus on mains and all? I always say this is a completely holistic process. You need to understand that there's no this kind of thing that, okay, now I'm only going to prepare for prelims. No, you cannot do that. So generally the first time aspirants, they make this mistake that they focus their entire energy on just prelims. So before starting your journey, you should have your optional ready with you. I always say that at least you should be familiar with the optional which you're going to take, and also you need to be familiar with the optional, right? And also then you need to understand that then you need to actually understand what exactly is required. Like prelims and mains, they go together, they go hand in hand. So let's say if any topic you have done, I'm a history author, so I'll be talking more about history that way. So any topic if you do, let's say modern India, non-cooperation movement, then you need to understand what kind of questions are being asked in prelims. Go back to your 10 years. Please buy a proper 10-year for UPSC last year papers and make them standard. I never suggest that take any mock test of any coaching institute as standard. No, because UPSC has got a different level. Either the mock tests are above, either they are asking very difficult questions, or either they are asking very simple questions. UPSC has got a set pattern. You need to understand that. So, and that understanding will only come if you go through the last 10 years. So always keep a 10-year handy with you. And when you complete a topic, please go through the last year prelims question, then also go through the last year mains question, and then try to attempt them simultaneously. So that I try to revise them every day, right? Second thing, third thing I would like to tell you is that UPSC is all about persistent and continuous effort. So you cannot have the luxury, like, today you study for 18 hours and next day you just study for only 6 hours. No. And trust me, even if you study for 6 hours every day is the key here. So that's more than enough. I've cracked UPSC thrice, and I can tell you from experience that I never studied for 18 hours, never ever. This is a myth that many people are having about UPSC. The key is a persistent effort. So even if you're having a cousin's wedding, you need to have at least 2 or 3 hours that day. You cannot leave newspaper, right? You cannot leave that day newspaper to some other day. You cannot leave that topic to some other day, right? So that's another thing. Persistent and regularity holds the key here. So please, I think even if you are able to devote 6 to 7 hours, are more than enough. I always say that 6 to 7 hours daily is more than enough self-study. I'm not talking about the coaching institutes. Like if you people will feel that, okay, I'm going to a coaching and I'm going for 6 hours of coaching or 4 hours of coaching, then 2 hours I study. No, I think 6 hours of self-study is very much important. I think if you're going with the coaching, then 4 to 5 hours is also okay because you are anyhow reading certain things in coaching, but revision is the key, right? Third thing is choosing your resources very wisely. So here, many aspirants do the mistake of buying too many books. So they'll watch a fellow friend of theirs who are having another new book, and they'll also go to the market and take up that book. No, I won't suggest that. I would say that please go through the last year toppers interview and check out which books are. And even if when you are just starting this journey, you'll be able to have a fair, good idea that which kind of books are the standard books in this league, and then go for these books. And the key is not to have many books for one subject. Choose the books very wisely and then revise them again and again. Instead of going for 2, 3 books of quality, I would say once you've done NCERT, once you've done a standard book of quality, then please go through the book again and again instead of buying 2, 3 more books, because that way you'll not be able to. I think that is one thing which you should really focus on. Coming to newspaper, nowadays newspaper is really, indispensable for UPSC preparation. Many students tell me that, ma'am, there's so many books in market, magazines and all, which actually, are having the summary of newspaper. I never suggest that. I always say that reading newspaper nowadays, the pre-questions and main questions, and of course interviews, obviously too much based on the newspaper because you have to have an opinion about certain things. But even the mains and prelims, you can get a fair idea what kind of questions are being asked. So most of the UPSC nowadays is very much focused on asking things from the newspaper. And if you're not reading newspaper, you are really missing something. So reading newspaper is really should be a habit and should be. And other than newspaper, please go through Rajya Sabha TV, Sunset TV. Certain shows are there. Don't go for the spicy thing. Even reading newspaper is an art. So I think maybe someday later on I can take a session over that about how to read a newspaper. But please understand, newspaper should not be substituted with capsule courses. There are no shortcuts to success, I'm telling you. So if you read a very small bite of something, let's say the main heading of a newspaper, there will be just headings and very small portion. Once you read the newspaper, you get a very whole depth understanding. And I think certain newspaper like Indian Express, Hindu, they're having very detailed nowadays explained column take up a topic and they explain it very much detail, and that's really wonderful. And once you read the newspaper, then you can also form your own notebook, like what exactly which you feel is the good talk, which can come in prelims. And this understanding, I sorry, I'm repeating it again and again. This understanding will only develop when you have gone through the last year papers, because then you'll be able to understand what kind of questions are being asked, what kind of government schemes are being asked. So once you get a new scheme in the newspaper, or let's say anything, like yesterday there was a news regarding the overhaul of criminal law system. So, you'll able to understand, you'll be much more aware that way, and awareness is very much required in UPSC. Right? So, I told you about resources, newspaper, persistent study. I think next thing is having a planner. So once you start a journey, I'll strongly advise to have a yearly, monthly planner. For example, if some of you must be aspiring for 2024 and some of you must be aspiring for 2025 exam, I think 1 year basic preparation is definitely required. I will never suggest to somebody They just have 6 months preparation. Even if you're good in maths and CSAT and all, but then you will be not be able to do justice to your mains answer writing. So I always suggest 1 year is good enough time to have a grip on the subject and about the subject matter, and make a yearly planner. Understand. So divide your, like, just a rough suggestion I can give is, like, divide your whole 12 months into, for example, next year prelims, I'm not very sure, is it in June or July? So let's say June, hypothetically I'm taking. So last 3 months, like just prior to prelims, I think last 3 months you should focus dedicatedly on prelims, but of course going through the newspaper every day. And then when you focus on prelims, so you can make a planner that last 3 months you can totally devote to just prelims and mock test and everything on dedicated to prelims. Before that, you can have prelims and mains both preparation, and subject wise you can divide, that, for example, you start this journey now in August, so August I can have quality done, or maybe in a month, and then second month I'll have history covered up, then third month I can have geography, or you can have there's so many permutation combinations. You can have history, geography along with, you can do that, or whatever done is done in coaching. So it all depends on you. What I want to tell you is that please make a planner, how you're going to approach the subjects, and then make a monthly planner. And this should not be a very 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 much detailed exercise. Too much detail also don't make it to be, because as a now, okay, you every day you're just planning and you're not implementing. So just make a rough exercise. A quick 30 minutes would be more than enough. Once you make a very broad planner for year, and then monthly planner, and then come to the year, daily planner. And more important is that, for example, let's say this month I've taken my, let's say if I have to prepare, and I'll say that I'll cover history, modern India in it, and I'll cover Asian and medieval India. So what I'll do, let's say August is dedicated to this, then I'll come to monthly planner, then I'll see the topics, and then I'll quickly divide it into weeks. Okay, first week I'll cover these topics, right? I'll cover this portion after 1857, and then next week I'll do Asian and medieval India, like this way. And then daily should be a detailed exercise. I always say that daily you can have a small, in the morning, just before you start your day, plan what are you going to do in the day, and then in the night audit that whether everything went according to your plan or not. I think this is a very important exercise which we don't do. Please audit along with your planner, because that will help you to be on track. So there'll be days when you'll not be able to finish the topics according to whatever you plan. But at the same time, then you'll be able to understand that the next day, this is what I could achieve in 6 hours. Now, next day, how I'm going to, reschedule my topics that way. So this little bit of 10 minutes planning in the morning and 10 minutes audit in the night, it really helps you. I'm telling you from experience. So that's very much important, right? So these are the things. Then secondly, answer writing should be a continuous exercise, whether it's of your optional. And the best easy way out is, regarding optional and GS papers, please go through the UPSC last year papers, pick them up, topic wise, whatever topic you're being now covering, answer them, write your answers. And many students generally ask me that, how to get the answer checked? How do we know whether, we are doing right? See, it's always good to have a outside insight. So, but at the same time, it's not possible every time to have a teacher around. So I'll say, I think that I can give you a tip regarding that, please write your answer, keep it away from your for only 4 or 5 hours, and then in the evening, just go through your answer again. I think you're the best judge of your answer yourself. You'll be able to appreciate and understand where you went wrong, what was wrong, whether introduction long enough, or you will either laugh that, I write such a bad answer, or you'll be very happy that I wrote such a good answer. So I think, or you can have a very small core group of your friends. You can share each other's answers. So just not rely on teachers, because teachers also here they can only check 2 or 3 answers for you. So it's always better. I used to do this with myself also. I used to write the answer. I used to keep it away, because immediately once you've written the answer, you're into that thinking mode only. Once you're away from the answer for 4 5 hours, you're able to understand the answer. You will be able to understand it from different perspective. You'll be able to see it from a different perspective, and you'll be able to, I think, very well understand where are you lack. So that's another tip which I feel you can take. And other than that, I would say that just before prelims, you should focus on the mock test, and also even while mains preparation also should be a lot of answer writing. please write at least 3-4 answers every day, right? Even though you're starting your journey now, whatever topic you're being covered, whether you're taking coaching, whether you're taking self-study, not a problem. Whatever topic you've covered, just try to write the answers on your own, right? I think these are certain tips from my side. Prerna, we can
Absolutely, ma'am.
take up the...
Yes, ma'am. We actually have a huge number of questions, and
Okay.
I think we can start with history questions first,
Yeah,
right?
please.
Ma'am, one of the core areas where students are facing a lot of difficulty is when it comes to Buddhism and Jainism topics. So Khushi in the chat has asked that how do we deal with these? Because the questions difficulty level is increasing, the terms are getting a little bit difficult. So how does one deal with that?
Yeah. As a history author myself, I think I very well understand that Buddhism and Jainism, first of all, if we have gone through the last year exam paper, Buddhism and Jainism has been a favorite topic of UPSC. Even to that extent that UPSC has twice or thrice asked the same questions, unfortunately the same spelling mistake also. So that's one thing. You I would be accused of promoting my own book, but I think I've dealt this topic in detail in my book, Buddhism and Jainism, especially considering the amount of focus which UPSC has provided on these topics. You can check out my book, Asian and Medieval India by McGraw Hill. A very detailed chapter is over there. Also, we are coming out with the revised edition. So even in that, I'm focusing on the last year questions which are being asked. More importantly, I would like to tell this, all of you out there, that you need to understand that there are certain traditional areas where you can only go to certain extent. So just, most of the things are normally covered in this 90% of the subject matter, be it NCERT, be it any other book. I'm not saying just subscribe to my book, any book. So 90% of things are mostly covered. There'll be always 10% of the questions which you'll not be able to answer. So please focus your energy on the 90% because I always tell people that when you are approaching any exam, it's very important, especially in UPSC where negative marking is there. It's very important to understand what to attempt and what not to attempt, right? And similarly, what to read and what not to read. So there are certain standard books out there. You check out the books and you just go through it. And once you are able, you're familiarized with the concept because this is a infinite science out, infinite amount of knowledge out there. So if you know it, it's okay. But there'll be definitely certain amount of questions which even after years of research and all this, you never know. So you need to also tell yourself that it's okay. I can tell you from experience that in my last attempt, I was, I could get only four months of preparation because of certain reasons, and I only focused my energy on the traditional areas. So, and I got 124 marks in my prelims, so that was good enough. So I would always say that please focus because I knew that I've got limited time. I can only do justice to certain portions of portions, and I focused my whole energy on that. Irrespective, I knew that there'll be certain questions which I have to leave. I can only read to certain extent. I hope this answers you.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, and that's I think a very very important insight that students figure आपने 100 में से 100 नहीं करने हैं.
Yes, exactly.
कि ये boards का paper नहीं है. It's a very different kind of exam.
Yes. So mostly, sometimes they do the mistake that they are well focused on having that 10%, achieving the 10% difficult, which are the most difficult. Even I think even after whenever the UPSC pre happens, even for 2-3 days, the coaching institutes take time to come out with the key because even with Google and everything sophisticated technology around us, even there's so much of questions. So you need to understand the limitation of your brain, and
absolutely.
Also, I can give you an insight that as an administrator. Now I can understand why UPSC always, why these kind of things happen because in life situation also there are certain things where you need sometimes not taking action is also action, right? So as an administrator, there'll be certain situation where you'll be tempted to take action, but you have to restrain yourself. So that's what is your value, your judgment, and decision making skill is being tested. So I think that is also wonderfully tested in prelims that way.
Absolutely, absolutely, ma'am. And I think that is something that every student needs to remember a lot. Another key area, ma'am, where students face a lot of difficulty is largely art and culture itself. It's a very broad area. So again, the questions here are that how do they make notes? Is there some amount of current affairs which should also be included? How does note making include current
I think
all of these parts?
it's definitely absolutely it is very much required that you inculcate the current affairs. For example, there's certain new things have happened in the Indus Valley civilization, or let's say even an art and culture, different any idol. So generally, people are not able to appreciate why UPSC asked this. Recently, idol was recovered. Now the UPSC may the question may be framed around which era it was, which what is a so you need to understand it is very much complemented with the current affairs. So always have an eye for what exactly is coming in newspaper. Regarding art and culture, I would say that you can make small notes, but again the same tip is here for Buddhism, as I said, for Buddhism, Jainism, or art and culture, or any other aspect out there. You need to give your best, choose your resources wisely, go through them again and again, be very confident about your subject matter. You should be that much sure that okay, this much I have read, and this okay, fine, anything which comes out of it, I'm going to definitely answer it correctly. But once you've gone through them, then if something is coming out of it, then okay, it's okay to leave it and trust me, you'll be still be able to achieve that 60%. Also, another thing which I forgot to tell you is that don't be bogged down with the competition or the number of students out here. So many people are appearing, 10 lakh students are appearing or so. No, you only want one seat. Focus on the target score. That will help you. So forget about how many people you are competing with. Just focus on the target score. 60%. Any exam you take it, any competitive exam, if you target 60%, you're through. You take out the cutoff list of any prelims which has ever happened. It has never crossed 60%. So any prelims, any mains, anything, if you check it out, 58 to 60% is a decent enough score. Try to focus on that thing. Don't focus on anything else, right?
Right, absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, another question with respect to history, coming to mains now, is with respect to world history. How much time should be focused on it, and how can one ensure that it's holistically prepared?
I think world history is only a part of mains
Right.
till now, right? The paper one. So I think in that you can only focus a very limited. I would suggest to focus on a limited amount of time. Try to understand it once you read the history. Another tip while reading history, especially, try to read it in a very story. Generally, people always feel that history is boring. It's something we're not able to figure it out. Anything else we are able to figure out. The key is that you're not studying it properly, you're not been able to study it properly till now. So make it interesting, try to correlate, even if we talk about World War I and World War II, whatever. So try to understand it from a story perspective, then you'll be able to understand things in a much more wider uh, phenomena, and also what happened. So only thing, I think 2 or 3 questions generally come, maximum 2 or 3 questions come from world history in the mains exam. So I would say NCERTs are there, and they are more than enough for world history. And then you can just go through them, understand it in a holistic way. So don't think that World War I and World War II are unrelated. We all know they have been related. So understand it from that perspective also, why this happened, what happened, why, how. Other than how, you need to understand why it happened, what actually happened, what was the real reason for it. So when you understand things from that kind of perspective, try to understand the topics instead of mugging them. So that is the key to generally any subject. If you try to understand them, you'll be able to write good answers.
Ma'am, you mentioned the importance of NCRTs time and again. And again, we come to the age-old debate, new NCRT versus old NCRT, right? Which one should be read? Should both be read? So ये एक persistent question है.
I have gone through actually more old NCRT. New NCRT, I've just have a glance, just had a not much detail I've gone through. So I think I'll be the wrong person to comment over them. But at the end of the day, when I've interacted with students, they are only telling me that old NCRTs are still the gold standard. There's a lot of material which is relevant to UPSC. new NCERTs are equally good, but we have to actually check out what is more relevant to UPSC. So UPSC, the kind of questions which UPSC asks, I think old NCERTs should be actually followed. But there's no harm, and NCERTs are very, easy. I would say there's just like these ones, you go through them. There's no harm if you're having, any kind of free time, or let's say you're just sitting around and you have done a topic. You can once you've done any topic from, let's say, old NCERT, have new NCERTs also along with it, if you really want to go into that much depth. And you can quickly, flip the pages and you can see whether, if there's anything, because NCERTs, I think anybody, any sensible person can complete them in 1.5 months maximum, if you do it. Because generally you've all gone through those topics in your school. So that's very easy to flip through. So I would say old NCERTs. And if you really want to, and there's no harm in referring to new NCERTs also if you're having time. But I think old are good enough.
Right, absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, now again, I think there's a lot of fear that students face, especially there's also fear mongering, जो कि sector में बहुत ज़्यादा चलता है. You have one difficult and all exams are difficult, right? It's just that one exam के अंदर 2-3 और ऐसे questions आ गए तो fear का एक level और ज़्यादा बढ़ जाता है. So a lot of students are now fearful of CSAT a lot. कि अब CSAT पे कितना और टाइम स्पेंड करें, पहले से अगर हम 1 महीना करते थे अब क्या 6 महीने करें हम स्पेंड. सो व्हाट इज योर ओपिनियन अबाउट CSAT?
I think over the years which I've seen, CSAT has actually really become that kind of complex. Even for engineering students, they are not able to even to get that qualifying 33%. It's really becoming a difficult task. So yes, I would say that don't take it for granted, considering the way UPSC is going. Having said that, I'm again coming back to the same thing. Please make it a continuous exercise. So every day, the key is take last year's CSAT papers. Don't go for any other coaching institute questions. Check out a question. You will check it. Once you go through the exams, you'll find out that the numbers are changing. The questions are almost, more or less the same. 2-3 questions, they'll always give you, which would be a bouncer, which is a googly, like you don't know whether they were earlier, they never appeared earlier. But it's okay. I don't have to achieve 100%. I only need 50%, 60%. Like my target would be to have 50% in CSAT. That's it. Nothing more than that. So for that, I have to focus that, okay, now these are the type of questions which are coming. Let me practice them. Let me take one set of questions and let me just be through that kind of set of questions. So let's say today you have mastered one kind of question, or let's say over cube, or, probability, or and permutation or combination, any question you're now that topic you choose. Check out the questions of last year exams. Try to master that what type of question, and then every day at least devote half an hour to CSAT. I think that's more than enough. So you don't have to be journaling. What people do mistake is that they always do the preparation in silos. As I mentioned earlier, make it in a holistic process. Don't take it for granted, guys, because CSAT is really, some people are getting very much good score in GS, but they're not able to qualify because of CSAT. So, but make it a habit. Do it every day, or maybe 4 times a week. If you don't want to do it every day, but don't keep it aside that, okay, once the exam comes, I'll go join some coaching, I'll quickly do that. It won't happen that way. Please don't over rely on coachings. That's what I always say. Please, the self-study is the key here.
Right, absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, there is also another very important question that students are having, considering that UPSC can be, say, anyone's ball game. You might put in the best of your hard work, but maybe you don't get through. So a lot of students have also started appearing for civil services. यहाँ पे particularly UP, PCS, etc. को लेके, but I think it can be applied to any PCS as well. How much overlap, or is there a specific different kind of preparation that students should do for, say, state civil services, or they should follow, say, कि UPSC की तैयारी करो and PCS hopefully उसी के थ्रू निकलता जाएगा, कि कितना टाइम स्पेंड करें?
I think state services, अगर level के हिसाब से बात करूं तो state services are still, if somebody is able to clear UPSC mains, then I doubt, other than the state specific. State में सिर्फ आपको state specific topics को GS के लिए cover करना है, prelims के लिए. And I think in mains, I'm not very sure whether they ask state specific questions or not. Because आजकल सारी state services ने भी अपना pattern UPSC के हिसाब से change कर लिया है. So I would suggest that focus on UPSC first, And along with that, you should give state services as many as you can. Neighboring states they do, and so that even if you don't want to join it, you gain a lot of experience by writing these exams. You gain a lot of insight, because once you are attempting something, the mind also thinks, and you're able to understand and appreciate, appreciate very, what should I say, very in a good way, that what are your strengths, what are your weakness. You'll be able to understand, oh, I completed this topic, but I'm not able to write an answer in this very nicely. So I think there's no harm in giving 3-4 any 2-3 state services exam, but keep the entire focus on UPSC. And once the prelim comes, let's say, of state services, then I think 10-15 days there are certain books coming for the state specific questions. You can attempt them, and you can try, you can revise them, and you can give them. I think that's also a good strategy.
Right. We have a huge barrage of questions, ma'am, but I'll just try to consolidate them into the most important ones. The first question is with respect to mains answer writing, right? Because बहुत सारे बच्चों को डर होता है to even start mains की answer writing. तो उनका question है कि कब शुरू करें? पहले दिन से कर दे, थोड़े टाइम बाद शुरू करें, कब शुरू करें?
I would say depends on your level. So if you have gone, let's say if you are someone who has gone through NCERTs well before, when I'm saying that today, that means like you have already gone through your NCERT. Once you've gone through your NCERT, once you've joined the coaching, or even if no coaching, you have just started the main preparation for UPSC. When I say mains preparation means you are very much streamlined for UPSC prelims and mains and interview preparation. So you are studying the topics now from that point of view. You have gone for this. You are now studying from the standard books. So that time, whatever topic you are able to do, once you complete the topic, so you after just let's say today you have started the topic, it will take you around 2-3 days to complete the topic, or let's say 1 or 2 days. Then just as soon as you do a topic, please try to write at least one answer. I'm not asking you to write 5 answers from that topic. There may be 5 questions can be framed out from the topic, but at least try to go to the UPSC last year papers. Check out, okay, this topic, I'm going to write Quit India Movement. Let's say there's a topic. Now you have gone through Quit India Movement, and you now check out the last year question papers of mains. Check out, is there any, in these 10 years, there may be at least one question from Quit India Movement. Try to answer that, or maybe there are 4-5 questions. Try to select a question and try to write an answer, and start writing. Don't be into that kind of, generally aspirants also do the mistake that they feel, okay, once I do right, let me do the prelims, I'll start answer writing once mains is there. No. After prelims, when mains you're starting, that time so you have to write every day at least 7 to 8 answers. Before mains, once you are preparing for prelims, try to write at least 1 or 2 questions every day. That will really help you guys.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, just in the end, motivation regarding questions, right? Students saying that, apart from consistency, because itni lambi journey hai, a lot of students also witness failures. How does one keep oneself motivated? And secondly, I think a very deep question has come from Kaushik. He says, when should I know that I should stop? That, this isn't something for me. And, because these are the most productive years of one's life as well. So how does one deal with it?
I think it all depends, Kaushik. It all depends on person to person. So it all depends how much you really, what do you exactly you want from life. That's one thing. I can tell you from my experience that at the age of 23, when I never thought of UPSC myself ever, because I always used to have this kind of mindset that, oh my God, UPSC is something which, people have to take optional, and these are people have to study for 18-19 hours. No, I'm good enough. I was in bank that time, and I never actually thought of UPSC when I could have, that was a golden time. You're young and you're all that. So why I'm sharing my experience is that UPSC is all about here. So it's like, it's not about that you should be overconfident, but at the same time, you should not be underconfident. So generally students, they are always looking at UPSC like, from that kind of awe, and, like a kind of demon who is very much bigger than us. I think anybody, any person on this earth can easily achieve this target. It's just that if you follow the right strategy, if you're consistent in your efforts, if you're able to, able to have a belief in yourself. Because I've seen students who have prepared so well enough. They are so good at mock tests, but when it comes to the final exam, they just due to the pressure of the exam, they just waver. They are not able to perform their best. So, guys, I always tell everybody that it's good to be important. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So at the end of the day, you need to understand what you really want. So it's not cracking civil services is just not the end all of everything, right? There are people like Aruna Roy who have quit civil services and they are doing so good in social services. There are many people out there who are doing very good in corporate life. So I would say this is definitely a very nice platform to serve the people, and also you have got kind of authority, kind of very what should I say, a very dignified service, got a good amount of exposure. But at the end of the day, this is not the end all, right? This I always tell everybody. So hope for the best, but prepare for the worst also. And trust me, when you are attempting any UPSC exam or any exam for that matter, always tell yourself that I'm only going to gain from this. Even if I clear it, even if I don't, as I started my conversation with the same thing, that at the end of the journey, you're going to come out you should evolve as a person. So just recently, I was having an interaction with students out there, and I told them that being in this journey, you should be more evolved, or I think the focus should be on more evolving as a person, as a good human being, as a good citizen, one who is sensitive to certain issues like women issues. Maybe earlier we never used to have that kind of idea, but now after going through this journey, we'll be more aware and more sensitive towards these things. So have believe in yourself. I'm the same girl sitting over here who at the age of 23 was not even sure that if she never cracked the exam, who has now written 2 books for UPSC aspirants, taking this session with you guys. So I think have that self-belief and have that thing that all is well, that three idiots thing. All is well. It's going to be well, right?
Yeah, right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think these are very encouraging words, and students are always looking for this out there. There are lots of people to tell them, "Ke ye pad lo, ye kar lo, wo kar lo." There's nobody to really guide them through that, or just to tell them that it's okay. Things will happen if you just put in the requisite amount of effort. So thank you so much, ma'am, for all the insights. Thank you so much for your time. I am sure all our students have gained a lot from this. I can also see in the comments there are a lot of great reviews about your book, wherein students are actually putting out there how it's helped them a lot. Just one question that they have is that should they be opting for new editions? They already have some of your books. So when the new edition comes out?
Another 2 months, we are planning to come out with Asian and Medieval. I'm working on the Asian and Medieval revised edition. So that is there. Modern India is already just came 2 years back in the market. So I think Modern India are strong, suggestion from my side, because I have gone through this exam myself, so I know what exactly has been lacking in the books out there. Modern India, generally, any book which was out there was not having that main specific comprehensive information. So this thing I've really come up in my Modern India. So you can check it out, guys. And my email ID is poonamdandhavasingh@gmail.com. So please feel free to share me your honest reviews, feedback about the book, and also if anybody of you, I get a lot of email from every student out there. So any one of you who wants to write me specific questions, ask me specific queries, can email me that. I never say that I'll respond immediately, because I'm a working civil servant also. So I take this generally. I try to respond within a week or 10 days. So you can share me your queries, and I'll be happy to help in whatever way I can. And thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And it's really nice that you're so accessible, or try being accessible to the students as well. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this extremely gainful session. And we would love to have you again, as you mentioned, whenever you get the time, because I'm sure students would love interacting with you again.
Thank you, Prerna. Thank you so much. All the best, guys. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.